All right, so this is kind of what the house looks like right now. I'm going to go to the first floor plan, and I'm at the point now where I can start going through section by section and taking a look at what's there, and it will remind me or highlight to me what particular things need to be addressed. So I'm going to start with this section, which is section 6, and I'm going to work my way back one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. And then I will start up here, section 15, and work my way back one section at a time, just to see what needs to be addressed. So the first section I want to go to is this one. So we'll say go to view. Let's take a look at it in hidden line. And I realize that I haven't put my pad footings in yet. So what happens is all of the loads in the house are distributed and eventually end up sitting on either the beams or these outside walls. And generally the wall is not uh, wide enough to distribute the loads onto the ground. And that's what the pad footing does, is it takes the loads and distributes them over a wider area, which allows us to build houses, for example, on soil that aren't really, really good bearings soil by using that pad footing. So we're going to put a pad footing in. So let's go back to my 3D view. And I want to change it to, well, first of all, I want to get rid of the topography because then we're working on the pad footings. So I'll simply go over to here and I will hide that element. And we can do that in one of two ways. Of course, we can do it with the eyeglasses or we can do it with a light bulb. And I chose the eyeglasses this time. And then I want to bring this is called the section box. And I don't need to see, I want to see the basement walls. So I'm going to grab that section box and just bring it down. I don't really even need to see the top of the basement wall, but that's basically what I'm interested in right now. And so looking at it this way, I can now come around and go back to my structure tab and come over to my foundation underneath the wall here. And 36 by 12 is a standard basement wall foundation size. And so that's okay. And then I just simply click on the walls and look what happens. It's putting in a very nice footing underneath there. See, this wall has to be cleaned up in order for those pad footings to go in, but this is one of the easiest things to do in Revit, I think, is to add in the pad footings. Um, and it looks like I already put one there. So we come around here. No pad footings underneath the garage. Those are trench footings. And now let's spin it around and take a look at that. Looks pretty good. Oh, I don't have one right here. So I'll click right there. Let's see what happens. There we go. There's my pad footing. So now we've put the pad footing all the way around. Certainly much easier to add it using Revit than it is to actually do it in real life. So now when I look at my section, I'm going to see the pad footing. We said that was section 6. There's my pad footing. But here's my building pad. So I think we're done putting in that pad footing. Let's see. Yep, okay. So here's my building pad, and it looks like I put that building pad a little bit too deep. So I'm going to click on that building pad, and let's make it 10 feet and see what happens. Instead of 11 feet below the grade, let's make it 10 feet and see what happens. And that brings it up to there. And then I don't want to see the building pad. So I'm going to hide that in view. Or no, let's use VG. Let's see, VG. Let's see if we have any pads up here. We can, I don't see any pads there. It might be in walls. Let's go down to walls and see what's inside of the walls. We got, nope, it's not there either. I don't think it's in the site, but let's have a look. Pads are in the site, sure enough. So I'm just going to turn it off here like I would turn off a layer in AutoCAD. And now in this view only, my building pad is not there. Let's take a look at this guy realistically now. You can actually, no, that didn't help. Let's go back. It would have helped if I had changed my view range. But we'll stay back in hidden line. And you can see now that my basement wall comes down and there's a pad footing, and there's a pad footing, and there's my basement wall. And another thing that I can see right now is that I need to put in a floor slab in the basement. So I'll stop this. No, let's just go to the basement and put it in real quick, okay? So we'll go to the basement plan. I can see that these need to be connected. I don't know if it'll allow us to do that because it's two stacked walls. We might have an issue between these two stacked walls. Yeah, that's giving me a problem. So I'll have to deal with that later. But the basement wall goes into, I'm sorry, the basement floor goes right up against the basement wall. So architecture, floor. What's the property of the floor? Let's see. We're going to do a floor. Okay. And it's going to be concrete, 4 inches of concrete. Look at that. We have one. And so now let's see if I just hover over that line and hit the tab. That didn't work. So then I'll just draw it. I'll come across from here to here. And see if I can get close to there. I might have to come back and fix that one. And that means I have to come back and fix that one too. I'd like to get back on here. Let's go back to here and get, okay, so now I'm back selecting the correct lines again. And I'm just following the basement wall, the inside edge of the basement wall is where the floor slab is going to go. I'll make it much wider there. And I don't think I put one in here. It looks like I didn't. So I'll just bring one up here. Let's go straight up. I'll come back and clean that up later. And then we'll come over here, up to here, and here, and there. Okay. So now I'm confused as to whether or not I've done a good job of cleaning everything up. So I'm going to I'm going to isolate the category, and I can see now where I have some problems of just not closing these properly. And then if I remember correctly, I didn't quite get it in a few spots. Yeah, right here. So I'll use the align tool and just come in and align that real quickly. I think this guy was off a little bit too. Yep. So you can see that something's going on here where these walls don't perfectly line up. We'll have to address that later on. But anyway, there's my floor. It's bottom of the basement wall. I want it to be 4 inches thick. I want it to be 4 inches above the bottom of the basement wall. So let's apply that and see what happens. We'll say okay. And there's my basement floor. Let's go back to that section 6 and see if it's in the right elevation. And sure enough, it is. But at this point, by the stairs, I can see I didn't go all the way over to the basement wall. So I'm simply going to edit the boundary and go to the basement plan. And I can see that I went and must have gone to the footing instead of the wall. Looks like I did that in a lot of places, doesn't it? Okay, so we'll just align it to the wall, which is right here. And this wall, which is right here. And this wall comes across like that. So I went to the footing all the way around. So now I have to spend some additional time because I was careless. So if you're getting paid by the hour, I guess it's okay to be careless like that. But this is a kind of a big mistake on my part. But as I said in the tutorials, I'm going to show you my mistakes as well as my successes so that you can learn from both, hopefully. All right, so that looks good. We'll say okay to that. Back to section 6, because that's the one we're trying to fine tune. There's my floor slab. It goes exactly how it is. So what would happen is the contractor is going to dig out a hole, big hole here. It's going to form these footings, form these walls, and then he may or may not backfill the void space because the earth really comes like that. So he might backfill first or second. At some point in time, he or she or they are going to backfill. And then the hole will be dug down to this level. So this area right here would have to be filled in with a material, and generally that's pea stone or compacted sand. But that would get filled back in because the earth is no longer there. It gets excavated as they dig the hole out. So that's a good place to stop right now. I did a couple of things.